Hey guys, so today I'm going to be taking a look at the Bouge RV Aspen 40 fridge. So Bouge RV actually carries quite a few different fridges, and this is part of the Aspen series they have. And there's a 30, a 40, and a 50, and I think that's based off quarts, so that's how they get those numbers. So I will show you guys inside it here in a minute. You can have, there's two different compartments, so you can have them both at different temperatures, and I think the operating temperatures on it are -4 to 68 or something like that Fahrenheit. So it's got a pretty broad range there. So it is running on a compressor, and it's pretty impressive. We have used this on 2 different long road trips, and honestly, we used to have another cooler that we would just pack with ice, and it would keep ice for a pretty long time. But this is actually one of our favorite items that I've reviewed here. I've actually been using it for quite some time now, so I've definitely put it to the test. I've run it for days at a time. So it's one of our favorite items that I've reviewed, aside from inverters. I love inverters, but this is definitely a nice item to have. It runs on 12-volt DC, so you can plug. It comes with an adapter, so you can plug it into a regular 120 wall outlet. But if it runs on 12 volt, then you can plug it into your car also. So a cigarette lighter works for it. So on our trips, we actually have a 12 volt adapter in the back of our car, and I can put a photo here. We had everything jammed in. I mean, this was a this was a long trip. So we packed this guy in on the side next to the 12 volt adapter there, or the 12 volt plug, and it ran. I think the one trip was close to 14 hours that we did straight with it. And you can't hear it. I mean, the thing is almost completely silent, and it never had any problem staying cool. So we kept it right around 30 degrees, so fridge temperature. And I can show you, it has a little label under the lid of recommendations to keep for temperatures for different items in there. It also came with a battery pack, so I'll show you that here in just a second. And the battery pack hooks onto the back of the fridge here with a little holder. And that, if you're not near an outlet like I had in the car, or if you're going camping with it or something like that, it can keep it running. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that battery pack in when I'm finished taking a look at it here and see how long it can run on like a standard fridge temperature, like 32 or 34 degrees, something like that, and see how long the battery pack can keep that going. So here's the back of the fridge. Before I get into it, because I'm going to end up forgetting, I wanted to show you guys, here's where you would plug in. So this is an AC adapter that comes with the fridge. So like I said, I've been using this a while, if everything doesn't look pristine here. But this is where you would plug it into a wall outlet. And then here is the adapter I used in the car. So I used that 12-volt DC adapter straight to the plug there also. Then it comes with, like I said, if you get the battery pack, I think you can get it without, but if you get the battery pack, this is actually a pretty neat item. I need to get it 1% more before I test it here. But it's at 99% now. It's got a little screen, so it shows output and input. And I believe, I'll look at it here in a minute. It might give a projected time that it's going to last. We'll take a look here in a minute. It has a flashlight on it. I'm not going to shine it in you guys' eyes. And it has an input here to charge. And you can charge from DC with this cable. Same thing. These come with it. You can charge it from the wall. Same thing. Or you can charge this with solar. So I don't have that adapter with me. So this can charge your cell phones, but it can also charge directly from solar. So it gives a wattage on there and a voltage range on the manual when you get this. So I think they recommend a 100-watt solar panel. So if you're camping, you could just get a portable solar panel to charge this back up and keep the fridge going. So that would be interesting to see how long you could keep going on a sunny day. And I guess a lot of that would depend on temperature, what you have it set on, and how hot it is outside. But I thought this was neat, like it's its own little personal charge controller that you can put on the fridge. And so you put that on right here. So this clicks on to like that. Then the battery clicks on, stays right here. This would go in there, and then you'd plug it into the fridge there. So it gives you a way to go camping. And you don't have to have this in the holder either. I mean, it could sit to the side and you could use a longer cable if you wanted, the one that comes with the cooler for the car. But this gives you a way to extend it if you're going camping or something like that, or if your car, like I said, if your car doesn't have one of those DC plugs in the back. So yeah, before I do a discharge test on the fridge with this battery pack, I want to charge it completely up. So I've got this plugged into the wall right now. I'll make sure it's charged completely. So it'll probably only take a couple minutes since I'm right near the top. So for the moment, I plugged the fridge into the outlet to show you guys the display. There's an S and an L there, and when we look inside, they're labeled. It'll show you which compartment's which, and that way you can set the temperature separately. There's nothing overly complicated here. It's basically just temperature settings unless you want to do like that ice setting I mentioned before. And there is a USB outlet here so you can charge stuff. We did that on one of our trips also. Inside on the lid, like I mentioned, it shows different temperatures for different things that they would recommend setting it at, plus the power consumption and some other stuff up top for the fridge. So inside the fridge itself, you can see where it's pointing to L and S, large and small, or whatever that's supposed to mean. This fridge on this side, you can see where they call this the ice cream container here. So this is a bit wider. And right here, and I can show you guys, if you go to the link at the end there, you can see the dimensions of everything too. They show everything in detail in the manual. So if you look online, you can see this. These are removable here, plus they have plugs in the bottom. Like I said, we really like the lights. We've been into this thing. We went to a hotel room and actually hauled this in with us one time and plugged it into the wall. And at night, if you need to get something out or whatever, that's pretty handy. And I didn't discuss it before, but it's rolling, obviously, and the handle's really nice. I would say that this, compared to just your standard cooler, that's the one downside, is that this is going to be heavier, especially on this back end where there's a compressor. But I think the good definitely outweighs that little bit of negative there. Even still, like some of the Yetis and some of the fancier coolers now, those things are heavy, the newer ones. So I don't know how much heavier this would be compared to one of them. But definitely, and with the compressor, you do have kind of an odd shape. So you don't have just the full cooler like you would. But we were surprised by how much we could get into this. Like we packed for a long trip, like I said, and we got a lot of food in just this. It's just how you pack it. Yeah, and if you hold these two buttons here on this one, it'll turn the ice setting on. So that's -4, and it'll keep it there. So it'll keep it at -4 Fahrenheit. And this one, like I said, you can just adjust up and down. It's set on 32. I just turned it back on. So that's what it'll keep at. From what I've seen, though, the compressor will take it down below 32 and then let it settle around that temperature. So it may go all the way down to the mid-20s and then go back up to around 32 and stay there. And if you've got a full fridge, it stays that way for a long time. It also has, in the manual, it has a battery saving mode, like a voltage mode, low voltage mode. So you can set it there so you don't drain the battery too low. So I think there's 3 settings you can do on that as well. It mentions in the manual. All right, so it hit 100% here. So I'm going to plug it in there, and then I'm going to set it, like I said, there's a bunch of different settings. I could put it down to put it on eco mode, or I could put it all the way into -4. But I'm going to put it in a standard, I think it's 34 or 32 is what we used on our trip. So I'll set it on that and see how long it can run on that before the battery goes dead. All right, so we're starting out at 43. It was cold last night. So yeah, 34 is what we had them set on before. So I'll put them both to 34, and we'll see how long it lasts. Okay, and some of this might depend on the temperature that we started out with because it was so cold in the shop last night. But it's showing the output right around 34. It jumps back and forth with the compressor, but It's in the 30-watt range of output. Also, I forgot to mention, this is not in eco mode now during the test, so that is basically normal function right there, and that's eco with the green on. So I'm going to leave it on regular. And now that we're a couple minutes into it, it is up to 45 watts now that the compressors are spooled all the way up. So we are right at the 5-hour mark, and it's 67%. So I've still got the clock going. You can see it's close to 10 hours. So again, like I mentioned before, it's probably hard to say. You may get a full day out of it. You may get 20 hours. The fridge is still on right now, but the compressor goes off when it reaches temperature, so which is why the battery lasts so long. I still think it's impressive that such a small battery pack like this lasts so long with the fridge. So yeah, that's really neat. I am going to shut it off now, so I'm not going to go all the way down to 0 to see how many hours it lasts at 70 degrees outside and with it 32 inside. But yeah, pretty impressive. So I will put a link in the description below here to this fridge. And like I said, you can check their website out. They've got a bunch of different fridge options. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching and stay tuned.